Today in this video, we will look at one of the features in POC, which is to right-click on the grid body to open a menu pop-up. The menu pop-up has items like grid filter, clear grid filter, find data, scroll options, which has sub-menu, cell selection option, which also has a sub-menu. The pop-up menu is created using the inner data set, which has the caption column, ID column, and the level column. Level 0 is the high level menu and level 1 are the submenus. The pop-up menu also has an event on menu click. So when you click on one of the menu items, this is the method that gets called. Then we display this menu when we right click on this grid. So when you right click on the grid, you get the information about the row. If the row is a positive number, that means you clicked on the body band. That is when you saw the body menu. Today, we will look at the grid filter menu option. So you can use the filter method on the data set to filter the rows given in a grid based upon the given condition. So you can filter the rows using either a single column or you can combine multiple columns to create a condition for filtering. For example, here filter department code equals to A1, or you can combine multiple columns like amount greater than 1,000 and model CD equals to 1. If you want to remove the filtering from the grid, you can specify empty string as a condition for the filter. Now let's look at how the grid filter works. So you have a grid, right click on the grid, there is a grid filter menu options. When you click on the grid filter, you see a filter row in the header band. The filter row has a text box and a filter icon. So you click on the icon, then you see this pop-up. It has a predefined operators for the conditions. You have the search box, and then there is a list of values here, which is the unique value for this particular column. So if I want to search, so the registrant contains a value ADM, and then it highlights the value that matches this condition. So if I said equals, there are no value that matches exactly as ADM. So if I do admin, it matches this row here. I can use and with. The column which ends with R, I have two values that matches this condition. You can also combine multiple columns. So if I want to add one more column, so this column contains all these unique values. So maybe I want to filter all the columns that are waiting for request. So you can see it filtered all the rows that matched those two conditions. Now let's look at how it is implemented. So this is a pop-up menu. So when you click on any of the menu items, it triggers the on menu click. The first item that we selected is the grid filter. So here we initialize the filter head row. So append content row, adds a row, and we specified a head, so it adds a row to the headband. And then we set the size of this row. Next thing we do is we create this text field. We set the display type to the edit control, edit type to text, expand so is so here, and then expand image and image. So when you set expand so to so, it displays this little area here to the right. So this is the expand area, and then the image that we added, the expand image, is this little filter icon here. So when you click on the expand row here, this will trigger the on-expand event on the grid. We also did not, I have this column here, which is an image control, and this is a checkbox control. So we check the display type, and if it's not an image control or a checkbox, we added that edit control. We're also adding a on-key up event handler to the grid. So when you type on these cells, on-key up event is triggered. Next thing is you set the grid filter. Here we are adding a filter pop-up. So this pop-up that you see here, this is what we are adding in this code here. So this filter pop-up is added for all these columns and this grid. So you iterate through the number of cells and we add a pop-up grid. So the pop-up is a pop-up div. So we create a name here, and then we calculated the top left width height and created a pop-up div. We added the pop-up div to the form. The URL for the pop-up div is filter pop. This is this here, which is what you see when we click on the expand button. And then we set some values that we will need later on. For example, the filter column is the column that you selected. After that, you set the filter type for this component or the pop-up div. So if we go here, so in this set filter type method, we are setting up this filter pop-up. So the filter pop-up has a combo operator and it has two text fields, ETT filter and the calendar filter. And it has this grid that has a data set of DS combo. So in this data set is populated by the unique value from this grid for that particular column. So here we are getting the original data set from the grid in product registration. We are creating a list of distinct value, and then we are setting this DS combo column, the check, and the text and the value. And based upon the display type of this column here, we are either displaying the edit filter or the calendar filter. And if it's a number, we are doing the edit filter is true. and the input type is number. If it's a date, we show the calendar. And if it's a combo control, we are keeping both of them invisible. And for the rest of the normal display type, we have the edit filter visible and the input type is normal. Now we set the pop-up for each column. Next thing we do is add the event handler on expand down. So this on expand down triggers when you click on the expand button here. So what it does is it simply finds the pop-up div for that particular column, and then it displays the pop-up in the location that we calculated here. Let's look at the onKeyUp event for the grid. So when you type into the text field, it first gets the pop-up div for that particular column, saves the value to EDT filter, the search string, and then apply check and apply filter. So let's look at the apply check. So the apply check is what it does here. So it says up contents, then if I say A, P, P, so as I type in, it matches the value here and selects or deselects these items here. So there are two rows that matches approval. And then if I say it only matches the approval denied here. So rest of them is unchecked, only this is checked. So this is what the apply check is doing here. So it goes through, it iterates through the DS combo, the whole row, and based upon the operator, if it's equal, then it tries to match the exact value for that column. And sets the check to 1. If it does not match exact, then it says to 0. So not equals, if its value does not match, then that is 1, otherwise it's 0. So based upon the operator, it selects or deselects this checkbox here. So the next thing we do is apply filter. Apply filter will create the filter string for that particular column. So we have DS combo. So when we enter the value, DS combo has either checkbox as 0 or 1. So for all the rows that has a checkbox as 1, it combines the value to create a filter string. For example, if we had 2 values selected, then it will create a filter string that says column equals to value 1 or column equals to value 2. If the DS combo had only one checkbox enabled, then the filter string would be column equals to value 1. So once you have the filter string for that particular column, then we execute the filter. Execute filter is where it combines multiple columns and create the filter string and then call the filter method on the data set. So when we first apply the filter on one column. We save the filter items in the grid. The first time there's this undefined, so we could create a filter item. We set the filter data, filter string, and we save this filter item. And we iterate through the filter item. The first time our result string is only for one column. The next time when we call the execute filter, we have one filter items already. For the second column, we created another filter item. And then we iterate through both filter items and create the result string, which will be something like brand equals to signature detail and registrant equals to operator. So that is what result string it is creating from all the filter items. So it basically combines multiple rows, multiple columns, and create the result string. And then finally it applies the filter string for that data source. The data source in question here is the grid data source. So this is how you implement the DS filter. So in this example, there are a few things we did. We added the filter row to the headband. We created the pop-up div. We populated this data, a unique value for each column. We created this expand area here. When we clicked on it, we called the on expand event on the grid, which opened the pop-up div. When we typed in, it checked or unchecked the values depending upon the value we have here and created a string, a filter string for this particular column. And the end, we saved all the filter string for all the columns, and we combined the filter string for all the columns and applied the result string on the data set for this grid. Let's look at another menu, clear grid filter. So when you click on the clear grid filter, it will remove the filter header row and will also remove the filtering. So the grid shows all the rows. The code to clear filter. From the grid, you delete the content row, which is in the head band, and this is the head number that we had saved. And then remove the onKey up event. And finally reset the filter to empty string. So this is how you remove the filtering in the grid. So for the next session, we will continue with the menu item here. So we completed the grid filter and clear grid filter. So next session, we will look at the find data.